Minto Council for July the 3rd, 2018. Our Mayor George Bridge is in California with visiting family, so we wish him a well-deserved vacation, good vacation. I've just been informed that Councillor Anderson is in Edmonton, so she will not be here today. So at this point, we're motion to convene in, no, sorry, I'm past that.
So far along.
Okay. Moved by Councillor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Caldwell, that the minutes of June 19th, 2018 council meeting be approved. All in favor? Declare that motion carried.
Deputy Mayor,
Yes.
note that I declared conflict of interest.
Yeah, that's my next thing on the
Sorry.
agenda. No, no worries. Declaration of pecuniary interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act, and Councillor Caldwell will be declaring
E7.
C7 conflict for C7. Okay, and then additional items as disclosed as other business. Councillor Turton. Councillor Dirksen. And I have one. Okay, then we have resolution moving council into committee of the whole. That the town of Minto Council, moved by Councillor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Turton, that the town of Minto Council convenes into committee of the whole. All in favor? I declare the motion carried. Okay. Now we have a public meeting scheduled next, but we're not allowed to have it till 5 o'clock. So we're just going to adjourn council till after 5 o'clock. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. What's next? And then we'll move right to delegations, and we have with us Mr. Bill Nelson, Caldwell Banker, Quality Homes Signage. Mr. Nelson, welcome.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to come here today. I've got a little table drops I mentioned in my correspondence.
Thank you.
So I'll circulate that.
Thank you. Sir. How are you, Bill?
So I don't want to take up too much of council's time, but I did want to present here. First of all, I think all of you are familiar with the Harrison Heights project, Quality Homes, and that I'm representing Quality Homes in marketing that project and moving it forward, but also on their behalf here today. The reason for my request is outlined to council in the letter that was circulated, and I assume everybody's taken the time to read that. One of the things that I wanted to bring to your attention, part of the table drop, rather than getting to a lengthy submission for what is already probably a thick package you receive each weekend, was you see a map showing connecting links. I referred in my letter to the fact that we are looking to locate our signage within the municipality outside of MTO jurisdiction for a couple of reasons. First of all, because of the relatively temporary nature of the signage we anticipate. I guess I'm doing my job half decent and marketing it. We hope that this won't last more than a year and a half, 2 years to sell out this 23 home project. So going through the lengthy process of applying to the MTO to hit signage within their jurisdiction can be rather challenging. So hence one of the reasons for my coming here today for you. So I went through your sign bylaw, of course, and I guess what we're looking at this to be, and subject to, of course, your own interpretation, our desire to construct a temporary sign non-portable as defined in section 3.W of the definitions of the bylaw, and to seek relief from section 5.10.A, requiring the duration of the sign to be a maximum of 6 months. We do look at having the marketing period to extend beyond the 6 month period of time. What we are asking the township for, in addition, is permission to utilize 2 properties that are owned by the municipality. If you look at the second page of the table drop, you'll see an aerial picture of one of the locations, the northerly section. You can see the triangular lot and the basically the top portion of it. Just to reference it, it's behind the house at the front of the Tuffy McDougall and across from Tim Hortons. The connecting link on the east side of the road is at the edge of Tim Hortons' property. On the north side appears to extend beyond that. So we're asking permission to erect the sign, since this is a very new type of project for this municipality and certainly for the quality engineered homes. We're asking for your cooperation in helping us to promote this and in turn promote the municipality by putting a sign on that parcel of land. The third page shows a close-up of the parcel in question, and the aerial will show the existing sign that the municipality has erected promoting industrial land within the municipality. And then the next picture, or next page, is actually a roadside shot of that particular lot. So our request would be to place a sign, approximately a billboard that would be approximately 8 feet by 12 feet. And a copy of that is on the very last page, and I think that was perhaps circulated to you as well. And to place it in such a manner so as not to interfere at all with the promotion efforts of the municipality and certainly the visual impact on your own sign. The other location we're asking for is for the westerly entrance to the municipality, coming along 23 Highway. If you flip along to the page, next page, you'll see an aerial shot of that. And just to identify, just bringing it to familiarity, the large building you'll see basically in the center of the page is Hairston Packers. Just to the left of that, sorry,
No, it's fine.
yeah,
I was through it, yeah.
yeah, okay, fair enough. Just to the left of that, you'll see a narrow strip outlined by 2 white lines, and that's lands that, it's my understanding, are owned by the municipality, and the property next to that is the condominium corporation. So we're asking for permission to erect a sign there, because there's just very few places to put signs within the connecting link. The easterly boundary is right in the middle of the Catholic Church parking lot. We're going to have initial conversations with a private landowner to place some signs on their property, and the same with the southerly approach as well. So again, this particular one, if you take a look at the next set of photographs, I've taken a picture from each angle standing in front of the subject lands. One to the left showing the Hairston Packers building, and one to the right showing the back part of the condominium. So it's a rather narrow parcel land. I don't have the exact dimensions, but again, we'd be asking to have signage of the same size, 8 by 12 feet, and the same design essentially as what was circulated to you earlier. So our purpose is to help promote this project. Quality Engineered Homes have been very excited about this project and certainly excited with working with this municipality, as I am as well. We've had the pleasure of doing a lot of business in this municipality for the last several years, and it's been a pleasure to work with each level of the administration here. The other thing that I wanted to just canvass with council is I see in section 14.f that there's a prohibition of sandwich boards. And I wasn't sure if that was designed to keep sandwich boards off sidewalks or what it would be. But because of the location of this project being really behind existing or newly constructed houses on George Street, it's a little difficult to find it. Otherwise, I'm doing a lot of directions basically people are coming up. So we've been looking for permission or some relief in this regard to put sandwich boards on a temporary basis, of course, providing we had permission from the landlords. Even though some municipal land we have friendly neighbors, but probably trying to get one at the end of George Street to direct them off Arthur, and probably the end of William Street, or one of the 2 streets there, direct them off of Loris. So again, I'm not sure what the spirit of the and the intention of that particular portion of the bylaw was. Many municipalities don't want them on the sidewalk. This obstructs pedestrian traffic, but I'm not exactly sure, but we'd like to canvass that as well. So, as I say, Quality has certainly committed themselves not only in purchasing the land, They've also rented space alongside Blanchett to display or to create a little display court. In a small space, we've got a lot of different varieties, and to make it convenient for people coming to this municipality and looking at homes, since there will not be a model home per se, driving all the way down to Kenilworth to look at samples for cupboards, flooring, and that, it really doesn't make a lot of sense. So after some discussions with them, I had suggested that if we weren't going to do a model home, which just doesn't lend itself the way the project is, that we could rent some space downtown so that the people who are interested parties, and also other agents, because of course this will be a multiple listing, and every agent in Ontario will have the opportunity. We can have a mechanism set up so that they can take their clients in, and clients can look at the different options that are available for interior finishes. So all in all, we'll make it as convenient as possible, but it brings it into the municipality, and it's kind of convenient too that it's beside Launch, so maybe we get a little spin off for people who are not familiar with Minto to take a few moments to go in there and talk to some of the chamber people and some of the business development people. So in summary, I'm just going to say, asking for the council to grant some variance pursuant to Section 9 of the same bylaw to locate the signs on the land owned by the municipality for a temporary period of time at the expense of quality homes, and certainly to have them disassembled when the project's finished. So we're not creating, we're not here to make a long-term type of thing as far as signage, that type of stuff. Promote this project and get it rolling. If we're fortunate enough to move along and find some more land that we can move another project, they are quite enthusiastic about staying with this municipality, as am I. So with that being said, turn out for any questions. I felt it might be interactive.
Any questions from the council? Councilor Turton?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Faulkner. You talked the sandwich board. What are we talking? 2x4 or for the ID?
I think the one outlined by the marketing firm, they've engaged a marketing firm in Toronto.
Yep.
3x4? Pardon?
3x4.
3x4 was the suggestion they had, because they work with a lot of other real estate developers, and they seem to feel that was the most appropriate, least obtrusive. We always have to be very careful when using sandwich boards, as we do with any of our realty sites, especially in corner locations, to ensure we don't disturb any sight lines and create any hazards. That's absolutely imperative.
Okay. Councilor Dirksen was next.
Thank you. I think one of the challenges with sandwich boards is they tend to blow over or away and can do some damage. Like, I don't know whether there's a way to make something a little bit more permanent. Like, I agree, you need something to get people off Elora and Arthur Street down to George Street, but just wondering if there's a way to that it could be secured better than just a sandwich board.
We've been down this road before too. It's
No doubt.
I get driving around and seeing them over, or similar as an agent, having to run across and start putting them back up again. In the past, what we've done is instead of having you have the sandwich board with little chains, it makes it flexible. But the best way to deal with that we found in the past is you have a flip down board to keep it stationary. But beyond that, it's also probably in campers to see those type of kind of a corkscrew type of affair, and you put that down into the ground. That keeps it down because, of course, the wind happens to get it, especially a strong wind. Then you've got a projectile. So that's what we look at for the casual wind, so it doesn't blow down because of the chains. And also, I mean, I was a kid once too. Not to pick on that particular demographic group, but it's sometimes fun, you know. So a little more stable it is, and it can still be easy to. So it's not a permanent thing, but you need to have something more stationary. So that's exactly what we would be proposing to modify the standard one.
Councilor Colwell.
That was actually my question as well, and also timing. What are you looking at for timing? Like, when you launch it, and things like that. Like,
I'd have to check with one of the principals who's handling the leasing part, because I'm not signing the lease per se. We're looking at going as soon as possible. They've got to get the display boards. We're not, what we've come to an agreement on, we've had many meetings. They're used to modeling or marketing one particular fashion. We're used to marketing an entirely different fashion. So instead of having little bits and pieces all over the place, we'll try to construct. Sounds like when you go into a carpet store, you'll see a whole bunch of samples in their upright position. So we've got 3 different price points within each of 3 different categories. So we actually cabinet displays there. So we're waiting for those designs to be constructed. So the launch one, as soon as we can get stuff to put in there, we need to get in earlier, do some decorating, some minor stuff that I can show ready, use that expression. With the billboards, we'd like to get those as soon as possible because I haven't driven over to see what activity is going on the site today, but we're looking moving forward, and this is just absolutely as soon as possible.
I noticed your website isn't up as yet.
No, there's some technical issues associated with this approach. It's going to be freehold townhouses with condominium lines, common elements. So they've got a few wrinkles to get through. It's more of a process, and Bill will certainly be aware of some of those processes. It's a lengthy delay, or lengthy process of getting some of the condominium lines. So that's why that's not up and running. They've got the registration page up for people that are doing
It's up.
one initial information, and we're looking at in excess of 200 people are expressing interest. Now a little bit of some resume. Pardon? Somebody.
I applied to it. I'm nosy.
And that's okay, because if it spreads the word, and if you tell somebody else, and, yeah. So normally it's like a direct mail. If we can get 2%, tops 3% of that, we're happy to be at this stage. So let's get some excitement going, get some talk going, and so yeah, we're really interested in moving forward. And time is money, so we want to move forward as quickly as possible with other aspects.
All right. Any other questions?
Deputy Mayor, sorry, not a question.
CO White?
Just, we haven't, I don't know if Bill, if we were aware of our online marketing opportunities, which you can use our website, and Belinda's done that with a number of developers. This is a little different in that it's in the ground, so if council is willing to entertain that, we would probably want to work out an agreement with Quality Homes that would dictate the terms, where they would go, how long they'd be there, what the annual amount would be. So if you're interested in entertaining that, then we would need a motion to that effect. My only worry is usually the sandwich board signs go out when there's an event on to take people to a model home. So as some of the councillors have mentioned, if they're just sitting there, then they fall over or whatever if no one's watching. So I don't know whether we can look at another way of doing it, but that's one of your concerns. We can talk to Quality about that.
Okay.
The other thing is if everybody wanted one, your municipal property.
Yeah, that's
but
sandwich board.
they're the first to ask, so let's we can work with them on it and bring something back for you.
Councillor Jordan.
Thank you. Yeah, Deputy Mayor. I'll make the motion that we go through Bill and or Quality or whoever wants to. I mean, I think it's really important to get these signs up and get moving on it because it certainly has generated a pile of interest. So, but we certainly want to do it the proper way. We don't want people upset, like you said, about the sight lines and all this other stuff. So let's do it.
And seconded by Councillor Dirksen. Any other comments? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? I declare the motion carried.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to come in. I certainly appreciate your support, as do the Quality Engineer Homes people. I say they're quite excited about this project. They've really enjoyed working with this municipality so far. It's no different than my experience over the past number of years as well. So thanks very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson.
Good luck.
Okay, public question period. Any questions from members of our fine public that are here today? Correspondence received for information or requiring direction to council.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, I have an extra piece of correspondence. I could read it. It's dated June 27th, 18. It was received June 29th. It's from Mervyn Berenger. I want to withdraw the rezoning application for a dog kennel, and it says thank you. So we did call the people who had attended the public meeting before to let them know this had come in. So just wanted it to be received along with the rest of the correspondence.
Perfect, thank you. And the other ones are the town of Amherstburg, Township of Matag, Guelph Wellington Crime Stoppers, Wellington Dufferin Public Health, Ombudsman Annual Report and Mapleton Seniors Center for Excellence calendar and newsletter. Any correspondence that jumps out at anybody that brought headline?
Yes, just the Wellington Dufferin Public Health considerations for the strategic plan update. Where does that go from here?
If I may, Mr. Deputy Mayor, through you, I'd recommend you receive that and maybe add to that one that you refer it to the next council for the comprehensive strategic plan review. You had a separate motion on it, and then
So you're wishing to make that motion, and seconded by Councillor Turton. All in favor? Declare the motion carried. And then I'd entertain a second motion to accept the correspondence as received for information. Councillor Dirksen, Councillor Elliott. All in favor? Declare that motion carried. Okay, reports of committees and town staff matters tabled and motions for which notice has been previously given. Okay, number 1, Maitland Valley Conservation Authority meetings, March 21st, 2018. Councillor Turton, did you want to comment on those?
That's fairly old. That's 3 months old.
We noticed.
No, I don't think there's anything
Okay.
there that needs to be talked about.
Do we have to do these individually, CO White? Maitland Valley Conservation minutes of May the 16th, 2018. Same thing? Okay. And the Source Protection Committee meetings minutes of January 26th. Now that's really old.
I'll move it through.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Dirksen. All those in favor? Declare the motion carried. Cultural Roundtable Committee meetings of June 18th. Miss
Yes.
Wick Graham.
This meeting was basically a recap of things we talked about before and moving forward with some other things. So there's not really anything new that I wanted to highlight, but if you had questions, then happy to answer those.
Oh, there we are. Any questions from any of the council?
Lots going on.
There sure is. And I guess, again, continued thank you for your efforts and in keeping us marching ahead. It's really appreciated. I guess the major events we had were Touch a Truck.
Yeah, Minto Fire had a successful
Minto Fire had a
Touch a
successful
Truck.
911 drive or run.
The 911 run, the hand car races, the party in the park.
Yeah.
June has been extremely busy.
It was difficult to get it to
This
everything.
month, yeah. The Cool Cones launch, yeah, it's been busy.
Okay, so
Deputy Mayor, Belinda would.
Yeah.
One.
sure, absolutely.
Belinda, could you just go over the Cool Cones voting procedure? I had some questions on that.
Again.
Would you please?
Okay. So for voting on the Cool Cones, there are brochures, pamphlets in all the sponsoring businesses, as well as at the library. And you can pick up a brochure. All the cones are highlighted on there. You circle your favorite cone and put it in any box that's downtown. Or if you're voting on Facebook, you simply like the picture. People are voting for multiple ones. That's fine too. In the end, the most votes overall wins. So if you like a few of them, that's fine, but overall the most wins. And then on Instagram, if you like that or however Instagram works, Taylor's more familiar with that one. But the total ballots, Instagram, Facebook votes wins the People's Choice Award for $500, and that will be announced at the street party dance on August 11th.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other?
You
Oh,
mentioned the
Councillor Caldwell.
chamber barbecue.
Yeah, the Chamber Summer Barbecue is actually next Thursday, July the 12th at 6 o'clock, and it's going to be in the Lions Heritage Park Pavilion. And if it's raining, it'll be in the CNRA Clubhouse. Cash bar. Is that good?
July 12th.
And it's a free, barbecue. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, on to the signage grant. Oh, you need to approve those first, yeah?
Okay, I'll accept a motion. Councillor Dirksen, Councillor Elliott, all those in favor? Declare the motion carried. We're doing the grant.
Signage grant, yep. So this is a pretty small grant application that's been approved by the Hairston Downtown Revite Committee. Dr. Sean McDonald, winner of our Pitch It competition, as you all know, is moving into the Lions Medical Clinic this summer, and he is proposing to put up, obviously, a new sign. His sign would go up where it currently has the Hairston Lions Medical Clinic sign, and that sign will be moved around to the front of the building that faces out to John Street. And the cost of the sign is just $480 plus HST, so he qualified to get $240. Unanimous support at the Downtown Revite Committee, so that's our recommendation.
Okay, go ahead, Councillor Elliott.
Then did you say it was replacing the line?
So it's going to go up where the Hairston Lions Club sign is, and I think we're going to get a new Lions Club sign to put on the
Yeah,
front.
I'm thinking the Lions emblem should be somewhere always. But
Oh yes, we have to keep it up there for our agreement that we had with the Lions Club. We're just moving the sign to like the front of
And
or
changing
the
the
side of the
size.
building, and we're going to get a new sign because that one is kind of deteriorated. Yeah.
Okay. So we have a motion, Councillor Caldwell? Go ahead.
No, I'll make a motion.
Sure.
Mhm.
Or did you have a question first? Okay. Moved by Councillor Caldwell, seconded by Councillor Turton.
I'd like to declare conflict of interest on this.
Oh, okay, that's right. Okay, thank you, Councillor Elliott. All in favor? Declare the motion carried with Councillor Turton declaring conflict on that. Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
You're welcome. You want me to just keep going?
Are you still here?
Yep.
Is that you? I guess you
can't
are.
Can't get rid of me.
No.
I'm trying to go fast.
I should have put an emphasis on the different syllable.
Alrighty, so this is the Palmerston electronic LED sign project. This has been discussed since 2014, I think even probably before that because I was on mat leave when it first came up, I think. So this at the first time came up, the committee, we had a couple groups on board and we were hoping that the library would come on board at the time with a generous donation, but that didn't happen. So because of that, kind of got set aside. And then this past fall, 2017, Bob Lacombe came forward. He's the president of the Lions. And there was interest again in getting this sign going. So right now, the Legion looks after like a sign that they change the letters on. And obviously in the winter, it's not a fun thing to do and be changing it every week. So the Legion and the Lions were on board from the beginning, and the Downtown Revite Committee has obviously been on board since the beginning, because this was their idea. We've had a whole bunch of meetings. Councillor Elliott, myself, Bob, and Al were kind of like the steering committee. And we had different community meetings with stakeholders and have funding commitments from Blessings to You as well as the Palmerston Snow Kings. So that was good. We talked to all kinds of suppliers about what we need in an LED sign so we could come up with our request for quotes. And yeah, this is where we ended up. Got 3 quotes back. Yeah, that's the sign that we're proposing. I did a full summary of all the quotes, what they entail, making sure that they meet the needs that we want. We wanted to be able to change the sign from any computer anywhere. Some of the quotes were like you had to be in the CNRA clubhouse and communicate to the sign from there, and that's not going to work. We know all the events that are going on through our booking people, so we can see if people want to rent the sign right when they're booking the stuff, which is helpful. We can look after all that stuff. That was a key thing. From the beginning, we wanted to have a monument style sign like this. We did ask people to give us quotes for just post sign to see if it was going to be a significant savings, because obviously financial considerations are important. After analyzing everything, we can get exactly what we want for less than we were anticipating and just a little bit more than the post sign. So our recommendation then, I guess, is to go with rainbow signs. And it was $33,053 plus HST, and that includes the cap component, the LED, the bottom sponsor signs, the software for the computer, the Ethernet. The additional cost would be the electrical, and a sign permit's $25 from ourselves. And yeah, so I'm not sure yet how much the electrical is. Yeah.
If I might ask, so the message that the public is going to see flashing across,
Yep.
that type of thing, is where it says visitors welcome there,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
right? That's where that's going to go.
That's where the LED portion is.
And where does the how does the Lions and the town of Minto? I can't read the center one.
Like the bottom ones?
Yes.
Like those are logos. So those aren't necessarily the logos of the partners, but that's like the town logo, the Lions and the Legion would be on the bottom. Like this
it will be on the bottom.
Yeah. That's just
okay.
showing like potential sponsor signs.
Okay.
So the sponsor signs would be along the bottom.
And the shape is going to be the monument itself.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. So that's faux brick. It's hard to tell in the picture, but it's like faux brick underneath, and then the sponsor signs are like bolted into the brick, or it's brick, and it's bolted into the brick, and then the cap sign might be a little bit different. It might be more rounded like the entrance signs.
Excellent.
But generally that's what it is. I should also mention, as I pointed out in the report, so we have definitely financial commitment for $20,500, and then we had 2 organizations / businesses that came forward, and it's easier for them to do like an annual contribution. So instead of them giving us $5,000 up front, they're going to pay like $25 a week for 52 weeks. So like that works out to like $6,500 over the 5 years. So we'll make up the difference of the sign just through that. And then the people that are paying like rental rates regularly every week or whenever, that will go into reserve to offset any future maintenance on the sign or whatever. So
excellent. Yeah, that's exciting. That's a lovely sign.
It's been a long process.
Yeah, Councillor Dirksen.
Just a couple questions, if I may.
You sure may.
Okay, thank you. So the sign is I'm trying to picture where it's going to be. It's not a two-sided sign. It's going.
It is a two-sided.
It is two-sided.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I really love the I'm not sure what to call them. The capabilities. That's the word I probably want. What can be done with it? Sounds like that's great. How easily is it to vandalize this sign?
It's not that easy. When we went out to Rainbow Signs, they have a special cover, and maybe Ron can explain what the material is if you remember, but they have a special cover over top. You can throw stuff at it. And
kryptonite or something.
Yeah. Do you remember what it was called?
Yeah, I forget what it's called. But you have a sign in Oregon
and the ones in Oregon, they can just pull out that little block or whatever and replace the block.
Yeah, if something goes bad.
Okay, that's good.
What are they?
They're like, I don't know, this big. They're just little pieces that fit together.
One part of it goes bad, it's pull it.
Okay, good. But this one had like a thing over top of that even that protected it.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to be tough for them.
Super.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
That was one question.
That was
that's it.
That was two. Two-sided and vandalism.
Oh, I see. That's right.
And yeah, we can just do words, pictures, or video, like moving graphics.
That's very cool.
Whatever we choose. Yeah.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Belinda, you did talk about where it's going to be programmed.
Yeah, so we can program it anywhere from any computer. So it would most likely be programmed here. And
so password protected, you'd have to.
Yeah. And we get training on the software, and Grace already knows how to use software, so I'm sure she can show us, or we'll learn easily.
Okay. Any other questions, Councillor Elliott?
Just another comment. We thought this was important for the town too, and the fact that the town's going to have access to do special announcements. For example, if a road was being closed, an emergency, we put it up, run it across the sign. We have a heat wave, you can go to such and such to cool down, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Opportunity for them to use a quick update on emergencies or whatever needed.
Excellent. Any other questions? Then I guess the recommendation is that we receive the June 28th report of Business and Economic Manager regarding the Palmerston Electronic LED Communication Sign Project and recommends to the Council of the Town of Minto to accept the quote from Rainbow Signs for $33,053 plus HST for a monument-style LED sign, including cap and sponsor signs. Somebody care to move that? Councillor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Turton. All in favor? I declare the motion carried. And are you doing
Nope,
ice cream sign?
You can get rid of me now.
No, I don't want to get rid of you. Okay, the next, this will be that the bylaw and inspection officer for the Crown Theatre Ice Cream Shop.
So this sign that they're looking to put up is actually a little larger than what the bylaw allows, even though it was the bylaw was amended this year. What they're looking for, this sign, my pictures look horrible. I stretched it out to make it fit the page, and it doesn't look great. But anyway,
Like an airplane or
That's not a very nice looking.
something. Ready to take flight.
that's all my fault. But anyways, when it's done, it's going to be similar to the cones that are already up, and it'll offset it'll look good with all the cones that are up here now. But it's going to stick out an extra 1.5 feet from the building. The sign is high enough that it won't be in the way of snow removal, or it shouldn't impede any traffic whatsoever. So Race is looking for an exemption to the bylaw for encroachment of additional 1.5 feet. Other than that, that should be a good looking sign when they get it all painted up. I believe you said Rainbow Signs is looking after mounting it and everything, so it should be done properly.
So that isn't going to be the color of the cone.
No. It is going to be referenced by request, make the letter through,
Okay.
and then it's going to be changed over
Do we want that on? Bring her up. Okay. Thank you. All right, then recommendation. Oh, any questions? Then the recommendation that the council accepts the bylaw enforcement and fire prevention officer report dated July the 3rd, 2018 regarding Crown Theatre Ice Cream Shop signage, and that the exception to bylaw 2018-40 be granted to allow a projection over 1.06 meters into Elora Street, Harrison, subject to the building and bylaw department receiving sufficient information to confirm the supporting structure and means to attach to the building is adequate. Would somebody like to move that, please? Councillor Dirksen, Councillor Elliott, all in favor? Declare the motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cam. Okay. Now we have clerk's assistance, realty circulation of 6756 Wellington Road 109. And we have
Me.
Quinn, welcome.
I know. I'm not fucking talking. All right. So when the government of Ontario has surplus land that they would like to sell, they're required to circulate it to specific entities outside of their government, so upper and lower tier municipalities, conservation authorities, that kind of thing. And they're required to give them 180 days to express interest in this land. So we recently received one of these public sector reviews for 6756 Wellington Road 109. So it's a very small diamond-shaped piece of land in Tiviadale beside Bosman's. It's 0.31 acres, and it has an assessed value of $55,750. And it's currently being used for storage and displays by Bosman's Homefront, the adjacent business. So I spoke to Mike McIsaac, our drainage superintendent, and the land is free of municipal drains. There's really nothing on it that would be of interest to the town, and we don't need it for road widening. But we thought it might be of interest to the county, and Infrastructure Ontario would have to confirm that the county has no interest in buying this. So there shouldn't be any sort of financial considerations, because our recommendation is that we inform the government that we have no interest in the property. There's really no reason for us to have it.
Thank you, Quinn. Now, just for my own or for information, is this landlocked? This piece of property?
No, you can see there's
Oh,
a
you
little
can-
map. It's right
you-
on the highway.
You can get access off the highway.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's right
okay.
on the highway.
Okay. But there's no current scheduled driveway into that, I believe. It's just a piece of land at the edge of the highway. Okay, any other questions? Oh, Councillor Elliott?
By us saying we have no interest, would that now become available for sale to the community?
So they would
For
have to
public.
ensure that all the other entities in the area don't want it, so the county and the conservation authorities, but after that it would move into stage 4, which is private sale to whoever might want it.
Same as CN properties.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, any other questions? Councillor Dirksen, you have a look of consternation.
Well, I guess I'm just questioning whether Bosman's might like to own it, and we could facilitate that. But
Oh, I see. Like, just add a step, but ensure. Councillor White, have you got any comment on that? Or, CEO White, I'm promoting you. Yeah.
If I may, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe he's waiting for this to go through, and he is the one interested in buying it.
well, I think that's kind of obvious. So I guess I'm just thinking as a business in our community, and as we can help facilitate that. But
Be allowed to do?
well, we buy land for industrial land all the time, and then we resell it to people who want it. So I would kind of look at it along those lines.
You would probably have extra costs.
But he might pick up those costs.
Well, he hasn't asked us to do that.
Yeah, we
I
should.
have
wait.
no idea whether it's in jeopardy or not. So I know he's asked about it for several years now. We've worked with him to get to this point, but they may have an agreement with him already.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would probably suggest maybe we should wait, or not wait on the decision, but we could act if he asked us to act.
Well, not once we make this motion that
If I
we're about
may.
to make.
Maybe we want to say we have no interest so long as it goes to the budding owner in our resolution.
Councillor Cole?
Need to vote to defer the motion till the next meeting and talk to Mr. Bosman? What is the timing on this?
We have 180 days.
I was gonna say, I think I heard something about 6 months.
From this date on the report. Correct?
From probably a week before that when we got the email.
A week, okay. Councillor Elliott?
The only thing is, we could facilitate that correctly and buy it and resell it, but then that would become public sale anyway.
So what-
We just couldn't automatically just turn around and offering it to the community. Sure, that's law. So we'd have to make it a public sale. We'd have to put it up for sale.
I'm thinking, like,
No matter what.
ethically wise, maybe we
no
should
matter
just
what,
accept the
it's going to be
motion.
out to public for the public.
Yeah, I think we could be.
And especially if he doesn't ask.
So would
Sorry.
somebody make a motion then to accept the clerk's assistance June 27th, 2018 report regarding the broader public sector circulation of 6756 Wellington Road 109 and direct staff to inform Infrastructure Ontario that the town of Minto has no interest in purchasing said property. Somebody like to make that a motion? Councillor Elliott, Councillor Dirksen.
I think I'm sorry I asked.
All in favor? I declare the motion carried. Deputy Clerk, Treasurer, CEO, Council remuneration, 1/3 tax
Maybe I'll
free.
start, Mr. Deputy Mayor, if that's okay.
Sure.
There's two things covered by this report. The first is council remuneration for the next term, which has traditionally been set by the current council for the next term. And the other part is the tax-free allowance on the council wages, which is currently set to be removed by the federal government as of March 2019, if I'm not mistaken. June
Up 2019.
2019 of next year. So unless something changes, that portion of your wages, the next council would not be tax-free. We know that many municipalities have been dealing with this around us, and so it's our turn now. We've made a recommendation to you on what we feel would be the remuneration for the next council, which would be essentially along the same lines as we had this term, with some increases in some of the amounts, and then also an allowance in the event that that tax-free amount is taken away in order to keep it at current levels. What that rate would be for if the tax-free allowance goes. I would say that in a sense your wages are less than they were the last council, so the new structure did reduce the cost of council salary, and you did stay within your budget. Now we did up training a little bit, but overall the expense budget for wages dropped from 169.2 in 2013 to 160,000. So there's a little bit of catch up here to make sure there's a reasonable pay. This council doesn't get any other benefits other than the training that's offered. So we're recommending to you two things: one, that you adopt this structure for the next term of council, and that you adopt the bylaw later on about the tax-free allowance, which at least you'd be able to take it. The next council would be able to take it until the federal government eliminates it. I've covered everything. Your perspectives.
Yeah, pretty good. So the figures in this report, they're certain from the town's point of view, but I just want to emphasize again, we're using an assumption, we're using the lowest marginal tax rate. So when you're looking at your individual situation, it may not prove to be equally the same depending on which option you choose and depending on what tax bracket you're in. So just so you're aware of that.
I have a question, Anlene or Gord. I'm not going to have to worry about that, of course, because I'm not running again. But what would that make a difference on? How much difference would that make on if you took the yearly stipend of the deputy mayor and took the third?
Well, it's kind of
what would it mean?
kind of outlined there in the chart there. So roughly going from 13.2 to 13.7 or 14.8, depending on which option was chosen.
Well, I looked at that, but
basically what it's going to do,
exactly.
a third of your salary, and assume you make whatever 30 or whatever thousand, it's going to be minimum 26% of that.
So that $1,248 on that chart, that's what I would be paying extra?
That's what the town would pay extra.
That's what the town would pay extra.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. I didn't look at that before. Sorry, Mary Lou, or Councillor Caldwell.
I
Sorry.
think this goes without saying, but I'm just questioning. So in other words, we would wait, the 2019 rates would be the one in the middle. And then on July 1st, if they did change this, they would become effective July 1st to the new rate.
Yeah, and right now that legislation has been passed.
Right.
So the only way it won't go through is if they amend it. And I realize AMO is continuing to lobby, but as it stands now, this is a for sure thing.
But they're not effective till July 1, correct?
We could
I
do
think
that.
they're effective January 1, but I will double check that.
Oh, okay. Just so that the increase doesn't go through before they're effective. That's my only.
Yeah, we can double check the effective date.
Whenever the rate, that you lose the third is when the corresponding rate.
I'm thinking
changes.
it might be January 1.
I believe it's January 1st.
I mean, it doesn't really matter because.
CO White. Counselor.
Maybe I should put my paper.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
July 27th.
I don't know. But in the way we wrote our bylaw, it kicks in no matter what, so it doesn't really matter if it is delayed or if it does actually come into effect at the first, then the wage
Correct.
would be what's shown here.
Correct.
When it comes into effect.
Yes. Right. Okay. So if it's 3 months in, you'd get paid at the lower rate because that amount would be tax-free. And then if it goes up, then you would get the higher rate to compensate for the additional tax you have to pay.
Okay. Any other questions? Then the recommendation is that council receives the deputy clerk's report regarding 2019 council meeting dates and Christmas office hours and approve. Oh, I'm on the wrong one. Yes. I was trying to sneak it through for you there.
Thanks. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Receives deputy clerk, treasurer, and CAO clerk's report remuneration 2018-22 council term. 1/3 tax exemption that council considers the remuneration bylaw term, as well as the 1/3 tax-free allowance bylaws in open session. Somebody like to move that? Councillor Caldwell, Councillor Turton, all in favor? Declare the motion carried. Now, deputy clerk.
Now it's a fun one, right?
Yes. Holy Christmas.
On the hottest.
Holy Christmas. That's right. It's just slightly over 6 months away. So what? Sorry, I don't usually like when people tell me that either. So what I'm bringing forward to you then is we're looking at maybe closing on Friday, December the 21st and reopening on Wednesday, January 2nd. There may be some staff coming in during that closure to do payroll or year-end items, but that's what we are suggesting. As well, the budget and regular council schedule for 2019. And again, that'll come forward to the new council afterwards to make sure that it's good with them. But it's nice to have these things set in place already.
Okay, any questions? I then moved that council receives the deputy clerk's report regarding 2019 council meeting dates and Christmas office hours and approves closing the municipal office Friday, December the 21st, 2018 at 5 p.m., reopening January the 2nd, 2019 at 8:30 a.m., with staff taking bank time or vacation to cover non-statutory dates, and tentatively sets budget and council meeting dates as outlined, subject to final review at the start of the new term. Somebody like to make that motion? Councillor Dirksen, Councillor Caldwell, all in favor? I declare the motion carried. Okay, now we have deputy clerk again.
Thank you very much. I know that Councillor Caldwell had already declared conflict of interest for that, so she has stepped away. This is just a temporary extension of a liquor license for the Harriston Legion. It's for the downtown Harriston Street Party on August 11th. The Legion is going to have a patio bar out front just during the day from, I think it's 11 a.m. until 5 or 6 p.m. In order to get that through the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario, they need a letter from the clerk regarding this, that we are okay with it.
Any questions? I'll get you a second. Just that I can tell you that that is going to assist the town a fair bit in our celebration. I believe that's the same weekend as a lot of other events. And so, Belinda, you wish to comment?
Yeah, I was just gonna say I think it's only till 4.
So 4 o'clock?
Their bar,
Okay.
yeah. The street dinner is at 5 or 6, so we take over the bar on our license at
Correct.
that point on.
Because that's the same day as the Leslie's car show.
So this is kind of during the car show time?
Street dance, savor the flavor, all that kind of stuff. So pretty important.
Canada Packers.
And
yep.
Canada Packers, that's right. It's a big 3-day celebration for that. So any other questions? Then council has no objection to the extension of the proposed extended licensed area at Harriston Branch, Legion Branch 296, as outlined in their letter dated June the 27th, 2018, with respect to Harriston Downtown Street Party, August the 11th, 2018, and that the deputy clerk provides a letter of non-objection to the Harriston Legion Branch 296. Somebody like to move that? Councillor Elliott, Councillor Turton, all in favor? Our numbers are getting down drastically.
Better come back.
On votes, yes. Come back, Councillor Caldwell. Okay. Deputy Clerk, Ontario Drainage Act, Quarter Revision.
No, you're not. You're over there.
Now I can say, aren't you still here? That sounded better, Abel.
I probably didn't even stop, so that's what
I can read up here. So, I mean, this is a little ahead of the game. We are going to be having some public meetings at 5 o'clock regarding a couple drains, drain 24 and 39. As well, at the last meeting, we considered drain 60. We are bringing forward 3 provisional bylaws for your consideration during open session for these 3 drains. What will have to happen after that is we will have to have Court of Revision meetings, and we are looking to set 3 people up to sit on that Court of Revision for the August meeting. I believe it was Deputy Mayor Faulkner and Mayor Bridge and Councillor Turton. And so that's what we are looking for.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Dirksen?
Oh, just approve.
Just move.
Move it, sorry.
Second, Mayor, could you add an alternate in the event one of those 3 members won't make the next meeting?
Do we have to name the alternate?
I would like you to, if you don't mind.
Okay. Anybody want to volunteer? That's
We don't
okay.
wanna-
Councillor Elliott? All right. Then that the council receives the Deputy Clerk's report dated June the 28th, 2018 regarding Ontario Drainage Act Quarter Revision, and that the Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and Chair of Public Works, plus 1 alternate, Councillor Elliott, be appointed to the Quarter Revision to sit for proceedings respecting Municipal Drain 24, Municipal Drain 39, and Municipal Drain 60, and any other municipal drains that may come forward during this term of council. Somebody make that a motion. Councillor Caldwell, Councillor Turton, all in favor? I declare the motion carried. Thank you, Deputy Clerk. CO White Junction Trail Bridge.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. No relation.
But you know what?
Walter White.
Walter White,
Not a
that's
relation
right.
either. So we're asking council to make a formal decision on the trail extension that heads toward the corner of the 3rd line and County Road 5. And that bridge, and there's quite a number of pictures.
Oh no, County Road 5, you're absolutely right.
Quite a number of pictures in your package about what happened to that bridge in the flood. And very interesting impact on it. The cost to remove that bridge, and we do recommend that we remove it, is $20,000. The cost to replace it is $100,000. If we do replace it, then half that $100,000 would be covered by our deductible. I think the Trails Committee imagined not having the bridge and that things could possibly work just fine without it, although I don't know that we had at the time information on how much it would cost to take it out.
Correct.
And so aside from taking the bridge out, you'd probably want to decommission the rail line that we continue to own and possibly sell that off. So you might obtain some revenue from doing that. But I must admit, in discussing this with various people, there's a lot of what should we do back and forth about whether we should keep the link or not. And I guess I look back on the 7 or 8 years I've been here, we kind of regret some of these lands
We
leaving
sure
our
do.
control. So as much as it would be fortunate to have to pay the deductible, we would could get a replacement bridge and keep that link intact, and for 50 years from now. And I think that the people who use the trail from Palmerston do use that link. It's interesting. You look on Google Maps at the street view, and there's people on that trail each time they went by. So it is
It's
pretty
used a
well
lot.
used. And I guess my recommendation is that we approach the insurance company and we seek to replace that bridge and try and pull the cost as much as possible.
Any questions, Councillor Caldwell?
My question is just, why is our deductible so high?
I mean, it's for sewage backup, it's $10,000. This is definitely not. We couldn't classify this as sewage backup, so all our other claims were a $10,000 deductible. But this is flooding insurance. We never had flooding insurance until we had this coverage through this current provider, and so it has a high deductible.
Okay, good question.
And the other bridge that was by fire, that wasn't flooding. That was So it was
vandalism.
a $10,000 deductible.
So they said here that it might even exceed 100,000. It's not half deductible, it is 50,000.
Yes.
Our max is 50.
Right. If I may, Mr. Deputy Mayor, through you, last time the bridge replacement was 300,000. We worked to scale down the bridge to control the cost, and that helped the insurance company. It came in at 150 or something like that. So I think we would.
This one's smaller.
It's slightly smaller, and we may be able to do that. But Reeves Construction, who built the last one, has looked at the engineer's design that the insurance company had, as suggesting about 100,000 to do.
Okay. Councillor Turton, you had a
Yes,
question.
thank you, Deputy Mayor. So presently, it's out of commission, and we've got a walking bypass.
Correct.
That springs. Yeah.
It's amazing, and that bridge is pretty vital to that trail. Really, it is. I mean, honestly, there's four-wheelers, motorcycles, bicycles. Do we have to go that large? Is there restrictions on something? I mean, what's the width of that? That's 10 feet wide.
Oh, it's more than 10.
Okay.
The width of the trail?
No, the
Oh,
bridge.
I believe that the width on that would be 12 feet. And then for the new bridge, we made it 10, but then we narrowed the travel portion part down to 6. I think it was 6 feet. It would just take my side by side. Yeah, just.
So that's
No, I'm not. I just want to make it clear. I'm not driving on it. That was when we were looking at constructing it. That was because the bylaw says no motorized vehicles on the trail unless it's service vehicle. Sorry, Councillor Dirksen.
Oh yes. So you said 20,000 to remove it,
Correct.
and 100,000 to build a new one.
Correct.
Maybe. So I guess I'm wondering, this one has to be removed before we build a new one. So is it 20,000 plus our deductible of 50,000, or is that included in the 100,000 to replace it?
If I may, the work, we'd have to do go to tender, and that would be confirmed. But I believe it was 100 to replace it. So I guess whatever isn't there needed anymore would come out.
That would be part of the tender then.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the only other comment I make, and I probably shouldn't try and influence the decision here, but I was one of those that looked at perhaps looking to close that branch of the trail, but I've traveled it many times because I'm chair of the trails now, and I think we'd be very foolish not to retain that branch and not to retain ownership of that branch of the trail, as Councillor Turd says. I think that's we sure regret selling or letting the other rail lines go north of Harriston. So I'm certainly in favor of retaining that and putting the bridge in as well. The land in between, just out of curiosity, I know there's a fair bit of land on the main trunk or main line that the town owns out beside the railway track. I don't think we own any land outside of the actual rail bed, do we?
Oh, it's kind of on the map. That's the white lines there. So
That's the white line.
we do own quite a triangular shaped piece. Must have been where they used to do interchanges or whatever.
Well, there was a big at that. If you travel along the trail, you can see still remnants of old train or railway parts and whatnot sitting way back out. So it's quite interesting. So it's just the main.
So in that location, it's just the line itself.
The line itself. Okay. Sir, Councillor Elliott.
Just looking at the waterway there. Did you not put a culvert and just cover it? Would that not be? Put a trail
I
over
brought that same thing up.
Yeah, if I may, possibly. The engineer was hired by the insurance company, so that's what they've come up with. There's other ways of doing things, so But that would be one big culvert.
It'd be huge because of the amount of water at high water mark.
But I mean, I didn't. Like you could see it on the map there. Like that's.
Yeah, just kind of looking at it.
Photograph number 22 shows it.
That's the culvert across
Yeah.
the fifth or third.
I mean, we may come back
That
with
one.
a design for next year's budget that suggests a culvert, and it may be only 75,000. I don't know, but Reeves. Yeah, it won't be that
Yeah.
because then you have to do the head walls and so forth.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Then the recommendation is that the council receives the CAO clerk's June 29th, 2018 report regarding White's Junction Side Trail Bridge structure, and direct staff to work with its insurer regarding replacement of the bridge. Somebody like to move that? Councillor Elliott, Councillor Dirksen, all in favor? I declare the motion carried. Next, we have CAO White electronic vehicle charging stations.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. I'm still here too. So I'll deal with this.
You're not going to let me forget that, are you?
Never. Back in early in the new year, there was a new provincial program announced that would get vehicle chargers for employers on their properties, and so we worked with ArtGen. I must say they did most of the work, and they applied for that program on our behalf, and were successful in obtaining approval for 4 chargers. At the time, we'd mentioned that there would be a town cost, and the total costs based on the performa that ArtGen gave us is $4,800. That gives you 4 chargers at 4 locations in the municipality. The total cost is slightly over $80,000 for installation, so our share is only $4,800. One would be located in the front parking lot here at the town municipal office. One would be at the Harrison Arena, new parking area shown there. One would be at the Palmerston Arena near the Agricultural Society shed. And the final one would be in Palmerston in Lions Park near the water tower. So if council's in agreement with proceeding with this, then we would engage ArtGen to work on our behalf again and get these installed and placed, meeting all the requirements of the provincial program. Then the town would pay the amount for the chargers, and then we would receive a subsidy from the province back and ArtGen revenues back too. So we would only end up paying $4,800. We don't have electric vehicles yet. We do need a new vehicle in the building department. The trucks is getting older. If this council or the next one thought it was worth pursuing, we could get an electric vehicle and we would have a charging station for it. So when employees or staff vehicles aren't there, then members of the public are more than welcome to use the stations as well. So we'll see. We know we don't get a lot of revenue from these. I would not want council to expect that they're going to get much revenue over time, but there is another service that could be available, and it's much more widespread than our current one, which is in Clifford.
That's an interesting, if I may, subject. At FCM, Mitsubishi had and Subaru had amazing electric vehicles there. One that would travel, would survive the electricity part, would survive 250 kilometers. So no, that's much more doable than the ones I've seen today. But and also they've improved the generation or generator of the vehicle, kicking in much better and recharging as it's going along. So I see that we will in fact use more of these in the future, and I think it's a smart move for $4,800. But certainly I had doubts originally, but after FCM, I see that the improvements in technology has been tremendous. Any other questions or any comments?
comment, Deputy Mayor. The Maitland Valley has a electric car. They use it. It's the first one in line to be used whenever they're going to a meeting or somewhere in the province. We've taken it to conservation in Toronto, drive it all the way down there, and it's great. And I really think that staying, if you build them, they'll come. I mean, it's something that's going to happen.
Yes.
These electric vehicles are coming. I know where there's one in Minto, maybe two, and the person that purchased the vehicle, she purchased her own charger. So, I really think that this is an opportunity for us, and thank you to you guys for working with us for the last number of years, because we've had great people to work with to do our solar panels, and I like to think of this as we're moving ahead. So I'm certainly in favor of this.
And sorry, just before I get to you, if I might, I'd like to introduce Jorgi, Jorgen from the yes. And so really a pleasure to have you here. And I guess you could answer any questions if we.
He's my backup.
He's your backup. Okay. Councillor Caldwell.
And it's probably in here, I'm just missing it. The option 1 does not include charge point assure, but charges 8,000 for 5 years of service. Is that on top of the 4,800, or is that?
No, that's included. So
Okay.
it's whether you get that coverage or not. So, and it affects the subsidy and so forth. So we're recommending, I think, that we include it.
Okay. And Councillor Turton, you have another question?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Jürgen, can I throw a question at Jürgen?
You sure may. Would
the-
you come up to the mic, Jürgen, please?
So the unit that we have in Clifford, so do these things ever get old? I understand how hydro works. So when I pull in there, if I have a Ford or a GM or a Mitsubishi or whatever, I plug it in. It has nothing to do with the unit. It's nothing to do with the car. You drive in, plug it in, and away you go.
Correct.
Is that a
Yeah.
correct assumption?
That is correct. All the level 2 units that are proposed in this, the quote is before you, is a level 2 unit, and all North American, European, or Japanese cars carry that type of connection. Now, there's a difference between level 3 units. There's a CHAdeMO connector and a combo connector. So either your car is connecting with the CHAdeMO connector, or your car is connected with the combo connector. But that's for the level 3 units. This is the orange units that we have in Harrison, etc. But the units that we're proposing today, they connect to all cars.
So is that something that might change in 5 years? Will these chargers wear out or
The connectors.
become obsolete?
Yeah, the advantage of working with ChargePoint is that they automatically update the software. It's like your iPhone. If you plug in your iPhone, if there's new software available, it's automatically uploaded to your EV charger. So it's not becoming old; it's staying up to date. There's a warranty of, I believe, an expected warranty of 10 years for these units, and they're built out of rugged material. So from a hardware point of view, you're covered, and from a software point of view, it's automatically updated.
And if would there be adapters? You said about going from level 2 to level 3. Would you have an adapter if you had the other one?
So the level 3 unit is a different connector on your car.
Correct.
So you have both connectors on your car, level 3 or level 2.
Okay.
And so the ones that are before you, all cars in North America have the level 2.
Okay.
And they're ideal for places where you spend at least 2 to 3 hours. So either at the workplace or at a community center or an arena for a quick hockey game. It's an additional charge for your car.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Then the recommendation is that council receives the CAO's June 28th, 2018 report regarding installment options 1 and 2, Arjun Provincial Workplace Electric Vehicle Charging Program, and that the town proceed with option 2 for installation of 1 level 2 ChargePoint EV charger at town office Harrison, arena, Palmerston Arena, and Lions Park near the water tower at a net cost to the town of $4,800 after the provincial subsidy and Arnchin revenues. Could I have somebody move that, please? Councillor Colwell, seconded by Councillor Turton. All in favor? I declare the motion carried, right? Okay, number 11, roads and drainage foreman. Welcome.
Speed reduction.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. The first item here is for a speed reduction request on the 12th line and Pike Lake Side Road. So basically, this has been kind of an ongoing thing dating back to 2011. There's been previous requests along the way. Back in 2011, the annual or the daily traffic on that road was in around 300 vehicles per day. Now we're looking at about 800 to 900. Wow. So just with the increase of productivity at some of these locations, as well as the recreational increase in the area has really skyrocketed.
Wow.
So we do at this time recommend decreasing the speed limit at this location or at these locations, just because of the vertical curve and horizontal curves there, the recreational traffic and the volume of traffic in this location right now. If it was proposed to do road reconstruction where we could have the capability of widening the road, improving some of these horizontal and vertical curves out there, and increase public safety, then we could look at keeping it at an 80-kilometer-an-hour speed limit. But even the increase of entrance points onto the road accesses, there hasn't been anything major in this location, but it's definitely our liability has definitely increased over the last number of years here.
Okay. Any questions for Road Foreman McIsaac? Then I will say that council receives the Road Foreman's May 26, 2018 report, speed reduction, 12th line and Pike Lake Side Road, and considers a bylaw in regular session approving a speed limit of 60 kilometers per hour on Pike Lake Side Road from Highway 89 to the 12th line and the 12th line from Pike Lake Side Road to County Road 6 of Minto. Somebody like to make that motion? Councillor Dirksen?
Just a point, it's actually Pike Lake Road. It's not Pike Lake Side Road. Yep. County Road 6 is really Wellington Road 6, if we want to be correct.
Okay.
But yes,
yeah, Wellington Road 6.
But I will make the motion, yes. Yeah, it's correct.
The bylaw reads, so we'll have to make sure it's
accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't.
And she made the, Councillor Dirksen made that motion. Can we have a seconder? Councillor Elliott? Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed, if any? I'll declare the motion carried. Oh, yes, sorry. I guess I should have turned it over to...
Okay, that's all right. So we do have, thank you, Deputy Mayor. We do have a couple more items to talk to in Public Works today, and it has to do with cemeteries.
That's
Mike, if you want to go ahead.
Okay, so this next item is the RFP, or the request for quotations, that was sent out to the specialized firms regarding the design and implementation of cremation remains. And we did have 3 submissions from Toronto, Kitchener, and Fergus, with the proposed dollar values there attached. Is there any questions?
Just a comment, if I might.
Yes, go ahead.
Councillor Turton, I just think this is great stuff, and I'm glad to see we're moving ahead with an organized plan for our cemeteries. And
for sure,
hats off for this.
For sure. Thanks.
Hearing no questions, then the recommendation is the council receives the road and drainage foreman's June 26, 2018 report and awards a quotation PW 2018-03 design and implementation options to interrelated remains, Minto cemeteries to Hilton landmarks.
I'll move that.
A division of GSP Group to be completed concurrently for a maximum price of $23,938 and the minimum price of $14,880, excluding HST, depending on the final work plan set by the town based on the number of public meetings, site visits, financial recommendations, and similar. That's moved by Deputy Mayor Faulkner, seconded by Councillor Dirksen. All in favor of this motion? Against? That's carried. Thank you. I agree. I agree with you, Deputy Mayor. The next one, we've got a joint venture here between our treasurer and our road foreman. Going to talk about the OSIF. So, we arm wrestling?
Yeah, no, we don't have much to wrestle over here. No. So, council requested that we report back today on what's happening with West Gray. So, unfortunately, West Gray, their council meeting where they're going to make the decision is tomorrow. So we're just here to say that's where both Mike and I have been in touch with their staff and they're researching it and we're trying to get them some more information to put together their report because their council has requested more information. And I've been in touch again with Public Sector Digest, who also works with West Gray. And we already know it's a high priority for us, so they're trying to get some documentation that's a high priority for them too. So basically, I think Mike and I are going to say we'll just follow what you passed at the last council meeting.
Questions? Deputy Mayor.
Councillor Turton, did you get a feeling by talking to their staff and everybody how they might go? Did you get a feeling?
I think staff would like to see this project move forward. Council, it's kind of up in the air.
There we go.
I
Okay.
think, yeah.
Okay. So we'll wait till tomorrow.
Councillor Colwell?
Just a question. So, time-wise, like if they approve this, we're fine. We can put in the application.
Right.
If they don't approve it, we've got an alternative.
We have the 12th line that we were just talking about. Yes.
Okay, so we will put that in immediately too, so that we don't miss out on the
Exactly. Yeah. So what we're doing, we're trying not to spend a lot of engineering time and staff time until we decide which one, but we'll get them right on it.
What is your timing as far as the grant?
August 28th. So it's not too bad, but
better than
that'll
some.
come fast enough. Yeah.
Okay, so the recommendation is that the council receives the treasurer and public works foreman's report dated June 28, 2018 for information purposes. And a mover and a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Caldwell. Thank you, Councillor Elliott. All in favor of this motion? Against? That's carried. Thank you very much. I'll pass the chair back to you, Deputy Mayor.
And I'll pass it over to Councillor Caldwell.
And the Finance Committee only has one item on the agenda tonight, and that is the approval of account. And I'll turn it over to Treasurer Duff.
Okay, thanks, Chair Caldwell. So we've got an active time, as anyone knows, when driving around Minto these days. So in the admin, $23,000 in payments regarding the solar. So a lot of that is the money comes in from the hydro. And what's interesting, Fit 4, we have Hydro 1 and Westario paying us, and then we pay back a percentage back to Arnson Solar. We've also lent $70,000, which we approved up to $75,000 to the Minto Municipal Services Corp, and that's to fund the renovations that are in their final stages of completion. We had a nice tour there. Fire department's bought a camera and another imaging one for about $15,000, and done some more training for a couple of thousand. Up at the Clifford Park, they're working again on the entranceway for about $14,000. Wind tools, again, the pool, another $6,000 in upgrades. And I guess if you've been over to the Palmerston Market, they put some stairs between the cook car and the caboose for $1,600, and some malt. Economic development, we're supporting the Hawk's Nest that we all had last time, and our youth outreach workers. So then the big ones in public works, we have one of the last, or maybe there might be some holdback on George Street South, which is virtually done, for $125,000, and the first draw of the large Clifford project, $138,000. So we'll see lots of that in the months to come.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Chair, are there any questions? Then the recommendation is the Council of the Town of Minto receives the Treasurer's report dated June 28, 2018 regarding approval of accounts and approves the Town of Minto accounts by department for May and June 2018. Councillor Elliott, seconded by Deputy Mayor Faulkner. All in favor? And the motion is passed.
Sorry, I was a little slow on the uptake.
And I turn the chair back to Deputy Mayor Faulkner.
Okay, and now we have for building assistant. Actually,
sorry, just have me.
You get demoted.
Well, disappointment, eh?
That's okay.
Welcome, Terry Kuipers.
Thank you. So I believe the first severance application is in Palmerston. Yep. Corner of Victoria and Queen Street. The existing lot is approximately 66 by 132, standard in-town lot. And the proposal is to sever it roughly in half to leave the existing two-story house that's in the bottom left-hand corner of the retained portion and to allow for a building lot in behind it. The proposal is just for a single-family dwelling that is to go up there. Staff met, went over the application, and the comments are in the recommendation. Basically, staff recommends that council approves or supports, the severance application with the 6 conditions that are listed there. It's the standard financial, so that's to cover our costs. Parkland dedication, Public Works wants to ensure that there's adequate access to the lot. There's a note in there about the payment of development charges at the time the building permit is obtained. Zoning relief, which they will need for the lot area for both the severed and retained. And the applicant may need zoning relief for the proposed building envelope that's shown in that sketch. And then the water and sewer frontage fee.
Chief Building Inspector Kuipers. So the new lot's going to be 66 by 66.
Roughly, yes. Yeah.
Get that right?
The severed lot, so that's the vacant one on the right there, is slightly larger than the one on the left. You can see the one on the right is about 20.7.
Oh yeah, it is. I see that.
Yep. Meters, sorry, and the other one's 19.5. So they're roughly the same, but.
And then they'll be charged infill.
The DCs, they'll have to pay.
Hookups.
They'll have to pay the frontage fee for the water and sewer contribution, all that stuff.
Okay. Any questions? Councilor Turner.
We have other lots around that are 66 by 66. I mean, that's a reasonable size lot.
Yep.
Compared,
Sure
compared to the size of the house.
Yeah, as long as the size of the house reflects the size of the property, that you're not covering it 100% with the house. It's a good use of our properties that we have around town.
Okay. Then the recommendation is.
It's a long one.
It's a long one, is right.
I didn't write the report.
We can read it.
I think I must have lost it here. Here we are. Yeah, can you all read it? That the council recommends County of Wellington Land Division Committee approve severance application B55 /18 Christopher and Anita McKay severance 310 Queen Street South, Palmerston, part lots 7 and 8, south side of Victoria Street, Palmerston, Town of Minto, and that the following conditions be considered. That the
We'll read it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6. Okay, 6 conditions, and everybody can see that. I didn't see any condition there that I would question or anything like that. So, would somebody like to move that? Councillor Elliott, Councillor Dirksen, all in favor? Declare the motion carried. Number 16 or B55.
Bingo.
So this is another severance application. This is a surplus farm dwelling severance. The property is located on the 5th line right up against the Minto-Howick border. This parcel that they would like to sever, which contains the house, is approximately 3 acres and leaves 97 retained for agricultural uses. The existing, I guess I'll call it the residential portion, contains a newly constructed house, about a 4,000 square foot shed, a little detached garage, and the barn that's indicated on that sketch actually has been removed to date. Staff met, we went over this. There was 4 comments that we brought forward, the standard financial or otherwise to cover our costs. Public Works had both the drainage assessment schedule to have that updated, access to the agricultural portion, and then from the building department's perspective, zoning relief for the size of the accessory structures. That property would be only allowed to have 1,900 square feet, and they're proposing about 4,300, give or take. The only one thing to note, which isn't a condition, but the existing roadway actually runs on the portion that's being severed. If you look at the sketch that's up there, the dashed line is kind of the traveled gravel road. So when department heads met this morning, we weren't sure if maybe that should be added as a condition. I don't know if CAO White wants to talk in addition to that.
I would recommend that we add that road widening, if necessary, be dedicated at the time to the satisfaction of the Public Works Department. And then if it's not needed or whatever, we can remove it and not require it. But I'm just
That's
concerned.
2 different things, isn't it?
This is road. We would get road widening to cover the daylighting corner there to make sure the road is on our property.
That has nothing to do with the severance.
It can be.
Yeah.
We can.
Really?
We can
This would be the time to do
essentially
it.
amend
It sure would be.
what the proposed lines are. If anyone has gone through that corner, it's very, very tight,
not
heavily
a good
treed.
corner, that's right.
And if the owner of that subject property were to, I don't have concerns about the road, they could force the road back onto our road allowance, which could make that corner even tighter than what it currently is.
Okay, so are you saying that we would not approve the severance if the town of Minto did not make the road improvements?
No, that if they didn't give
That's
us that, if they didn't
I
amend
see.
the lot
I
lines
see.
and
Okay,
give us
yeah,
that
yeah.
portion, then it could be refused.
Right on, right on. I see what you're saying. Okay, any other questions? Councillor Turk.
Yep, Deputy Mayor. So that particular corner then, I'm not sure exactly if somebody's buying this or they're going to live there and they're okay with that corner cut off. But realistically, the new buyer could come to the town and say, I want that fixed. Or what's the process for that?
I don't know.
I might be able to help on that.
Right.
It's been there for a long time.
Right.
It might be the status of a forced road, which means they probably couldn't get it off their property anyway. It would be political, and they might be able to exert pressure on a future council to force you to do that. But legally, I don't think they could actually make you remove it. But I think the safe thing now is to, since it is going to change hands, to allow for the opportunity to acquire road widening and get it all cleared up and out of the way.
Time to do it.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Then the recommendation, another long one, that the council recommends County of Wellington Land Division Committee approve severance application B55-18 Mahood Severance, Lot 42, concession 5106 5th line, Palmerston, and that the following conditions be considered. Conditions 1, 2, 3, and 4.
And 5.
Plus the 5th. Plus the 5th, and that would be that the road be gifted back to the town, right? Okay. Somebody like to make that motion? Councillor Caldwell, seconded by Councillor Dirksen. All in favor? I declare the motion carried.
You're going to add the concession in there?
Sorry?
You're going to add the concession in there?
Yeah, we'll add
You noticed that?
concession 5 into that. I know where that is,
Yeah.
roughly.
Yeah. Thought you might.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay,
Now you have 10 minutes.
now we have 10 minutes, and we have going to do other business disclosed. We can do that one, and if I get back to my report here, I can say that Councillor Turton, you were first.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. So I just wanted to, again, do a little advertisement for the August 10th, 11th, 12th weekend in town here. The main street's going to be closed. There's going to be a big party. And I encourage people to get their tickets for, there's all kinds of events. The ones that I want to point out is the, first of all, Friday night, the Kinsman Beef Barbecue. Saturday morning, there's a Legion breakfast. And then all the activities, the dinner and stuff on the main street on Saturday night. And then Sunday morning, the Historical Society is going to have a breakfast. So please get your tickets and support this event. Thank you.
Thank you. Good job. Councillor Dirksen?
So I just wanted to mention a couple of things from the hospital board. We had our annual meeting for the North Wellington Healthcare, 21st of June, I believe it was. We also have some building projects going on. I kind of talked about those a little bit a while ago, but I have a little more information for you now. The Louise Marshall Hospital building project, there's lots of planning going on there and lots of challenges. Keeping the doors open and keeping a hospital active during all those building renovations is it was actually stated it's more difficult doing that than it is building the new hospital down at Groves. We had some flood damage done at both hospitals. I mentioned that a while ago as well. So that remediation is finished at Louise Marshall, and it's being worked on at Palmerston District Hospital. That should be completed in 3 or 4 weeks, which is probably 2 to 3 weeks now from when that was. And the safe rooms are also going to be constructed, one in each, and that's not the right term anymore because they changed the name of them, but so they're going to be constructed, one in each Louise Marshall and in Palmerston. Much better ability for officers to guard the rooms and so on, and a little more privacy and so on, and those tenders will go out mid-July. And there's also tender documents being prepared for an expansion to the Palmerston District Hospital parking lot.
Yes, that was.
Because it's a little bit crowded.
Just a little bit.
And then I was also up at the Clifford Truck Show on the weekend. Clifford, as we know, is a bit of a mess right now, so just encourage council and everyone else to go up and maybe support the businesses up there because they could use our help right now. And but really, I thought that everyone I spoke to was pretty understanding of the whole process, and their biggest problem is the traffic. And other than that, I think they're coping quite well.
And the detour is really done.
It's
I
not
was
that hard
impressed with it, actually.
it's pretty clear if people would just stay on it. But if people think they should sort cycle.
Impatience.
Yeah, exactly.
Deputy Mayor, just to add on to that, we are getting the odd call about dust. I don't know if you noticed, but it's awful dry out there. So I know it's frustrating for people, but we do need a little bit of patience. We have managed to get dust control down where we could, but if we're just about to dig up a corner or something like that, there's no sense putting dust control down. And so there is some of that going on there and other spots. And along that line on George Street North, the contractor is going to try a new installation on the boulevard. It's kind of a mat, just because it's been so dry and they're worried about the sod. So they're going to try this mat and see how it works this summer. So we'll be on
George Street North, in Harrison.
North and Harrison, finishing off the boulevards in there. So you'll see that go in, and if you get a call or some concerns, we're going to try it and see how it works. And
is that the hydro seeding? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
It's modification.
Use the mic, Mike.
It's not the
Okay. It's modified hydro seeding. It's some sort of microfiber mat that they're trying in a couple other installations this year. So we're going to try it, see if it works. If the results are unfavorable, then we'll have to sod it when the time's better anyways.
It's a contractor's option. I just
Yeah.
wanted you to be aware if it goes in, because some people think we're trying to cut corners or whatever, and we're not.
Yeah.
It's just there was also the dry. We're trying something different. You can water sod, and we do, but when it's this dry, it's a real challenge.
Hard to get
So,
it going, yeah.
see how this works.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else have something come up? Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Councilor Turk.
One other thing, this Friday night, it's the Hairston Minto Agriculture Society. It's the ambassador of the fair competition at the arena at 7 p.m. in Hairston. Thank you.
Correct. Good.
Should have said that.
Yeah. The one thing I would, with sadness, I would announce that a great volunteer for our Trails Committee, and he's used to be on the fire department in Clifford, and his son still is. Richard Rock passed away on Saturday, and Richard was a great fellow on the Trails Committee. He did a lot of work. That people didn't see, and with sadness, there's not going to be a funeral. That they're going to have a celebration of life at his son Mike's place in Clifford. I believe it's this Saturday. So, and unfortunately, I'm not going to be here. So, just ask for your thoughts and prayers to go with the Rock family. And his wife Jackie works at Grandma Joe's as a waitress there. So, you see her, give her the best. And the other comment I thought was pretty neat was your comment, Mike, on reconstructing curves and intersections and whatnot. And I never thought I could say this, but the paving of the 8th has measurably improved the driving skills at that curve. I can't believe how much better people drive when it's. I know you widened that there, so maybe that's the reason. But people come up and stop more before it was if they'd look down and if they didn't see anybody coming, they hated stopping going uphill. And it was just I've been watching that like a hawk, the traffic, and it's, I tell you, much impressed. So thank you for that. And the other, I walk in the mornings, and that George Street looks mighty fine with the redone sidewalks and the road. So again, thank you. That's all I have. And is that what you would like? We'll have a 5-minute recess before we go into our public meeting.